That now we're live. I'll start over. Welcome back. It's been about over a week, but we've made it and gotten through all the difficulties of trying to schedule. And now we're in week 8, near the halfway point of the 2015 season of Hard at Work. What's up? We're joined by Raider and Greatness again. So what's up, guys?
How you doing, man?
Well, what's up is I'm not wearing a shit-ass jersey right now. That's what I'm not wearing.
I know you don't have your Randy Gregory jersey on today. You should probably keep that off.
I don't own a Randy Gregory jersey.
Not yet. He beats no, not too bad.
See, I'll buy a Randy Gregory jersey when he proves something.
There you go.
You know, you're wearing a jersey of somebody who could get cut in 4 years, so.
I mean, that's the case, but this guy that might get cut in 4 years beat your great left tackle a couple games ago, if you remember.
Oh, one time.
Hey, man.
Let's turn him
Hey.
kick of the fucking universe for 1 sack.
I don't know how many sacks Tyrone Smith gives up a year, but
His name is Tyron. It's not Tyrone.
Tyron, it's pretty much the same thing, just a different pronunciation.
That's why I buy Legends jerseys, so they don't go out of style. That's the way. But what legend has come from Atlanta?
Deion Sanders?
Yeah, that's a good point. He does have a point.
I mean,
At least one good one. All right.
Thanks for that, by the way. We Cowboys fans definitely appreciate you loaning us prime time.
I mean, everybody deserved to have a piece of that. You know, we didn't want to hog it all to ourselves.
So we've made it through almost 8 weeks. We are actually in the 8th week now, and things are starting to shape up. Divisional races and playoff pictures are starting to make sense now, and they're close to what we thought they would be. And then you've also got the bottom of the pack shaping up as well. So we'll start off with standings tonight, and start off in the AFC East. The New England Patriots, who started out looking excellent, have lost 2 games, and they're back on a 1-game winning streak, sitting at 4-2 at the top of the division. But not far behind them are the Dolphins and the Jets at 3-3, both on losing streaks currently. But the surprising picture is the Buffalo Bills. We started out with Keller and all the stuff that's happened. We did not think the Bills would be here in this situation currently, so hopefully the new Bill owner takes over and can make up with what's going on there. Heading out to the AFC West, the Oakland Raiders still sitting at top of 6-0. They beat the Broncos, who are sitting at 5-1, and that's their only loss. The Chiefs fall right behind at 5-2. That probably will be one of the toughest divisions in the AFC this year. You could easily say that 3 of them are going to make the playoffs, depending on the way the rest of the divisions fall out. And heading north, we're going to look at the Baltimore Ravens, still sitting atop after starting out 0-2. They found what they need to find, and they're 5-2 now, followed by the Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who both have 3 wins. But the surprising fact of that division is the 0-7 Browns, one of the only 2 teams without a loss or without a victory, are sitting at the bottom with a negative 117-point differential. They're just not getting it together right now, so hopefully they can shape things up.
That's a whole lot of not getting it together right now.
Yeah,
at least they've scored 143 points, so they've scored at least more than their differential.
I'm not sure that's something you can hang your hat on at the end of the day.
Yeah, like you were saying a little earlier, this is the time of the year where the picture is starting to is being painted at this point, and you're seeing the teams that are in playoff contention and aren't in playoff contention, and unfortunately there are 3 or 4 teams already that have pretty much thrown in the towel for the year. I want to touch on 2 divisions real quick, actually, and I want to start with the NFC West. That I will continue to say in terms of user competitiveness and user skill is probably the closest of any division in HaW, and it shows in the records. The Cardinals currently sitting on top by half a game at 4-3. 49ers 4-4. and the Seahawks and Rams both at 3-4. This is a division that doesn't have any set leader. There's no one that really stands out with any kind of big point differential or any kind of big wins that really says, hey, I'm the driver's seat of this division. This is a division that still has a lot of possible outcomes. And then obviously the NFC East, which both of you are actually members of, along with Fokker. And I think we have a new Redskins guy, but unfortunately for him, the Redskins are already at 0-7, more than likely already out of playoff contention this year. It's still a close race. Obviously, the Cowboys getting the sim win over the Giants. The sim gods finally failing Fokker and his no-showing.
The Fokker Bowl was won by the Cowboys.
Philadelphia at 3-4 still obviously has a shot, but they're gonna have to win some games sometime soon to get back in this and need the Cowboys to lose. Cowboys sitting on top at 4-2. Obviously, still a lot of games left when it's that close of a gap. Anything can happen, and it should be a good finish for that division.
Nope. Cowboys coming home with it.
Thanks. You're taking it.
But we're going to touch on a division that's definitely a lot less competitive than I expected it to be. And I'm going to start down in the dirty south of the NFC. And the Dirty Birds, greatness, holding it up at 7-0. I mean, when you look at it, 218 points for, 85 against. Just solid defense. I mean, I think you have one of the lowest points against. Not the lowest.
I think it's second.
Yeah, I think it's second to the Packers. 85, Packers have 78. Yeah, you're the second lowest in points against. I mean, when you play that kind of defense and you don't...
Actually, if you actually break it down points per game, since I have played one more game, I'm actually giving up less points per game than they are.
Okay, that's right. We're one game ahead there. Well, anyways, you got the Falcons leading it at 7-0, and I definitely thought this division was going to beat each other up, and so far it hadn't happened. But then behind you, we got a little more, a little closer race between Tampa Bay at 4-2, Carolina Panthers at 4-2, and the Saints at 3-4. I don't think that's anybody's division. I'm pretty sure that's the Falcons' division to lose. I would be shocked if you lost that division. So we're going to move on to the NFC North here. Green Bay Packers leading that division at 5-1. That's a shock to no one. Aaron Rodgers, enough said, pretty much. Again, 78 points against. When you're not giving up points, you're going to win games. The Vikings at 3-3, and then behind that it's pretty much a dumpster fire. You might as well just throw the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions out. They're not doing shit. And then I'm going to bounce over here to the AFC, and we got the AFC South. And this one's sort of like the NFC North. You got Tennessee Titans at 5-1. Their only loss coming to greatness. Jacksonville Jaguars it's a surprising 5-2. Giving up points but scoring more, obviously, for my John Madden moment. So they're winning games. Indianapolis Colts at 2-5, and Houston Texans at 2-5, and they're pretty much both dumpster fires at this point. So you can go ahead and lock up the AFC South as a battle between the Titans and the Jags. The Colts and Texans, I guess, better luck next year.
I do think when it comes playoff time, I think it's possible 3 teams from the NFC South make it, as long as with 3 teams from the AFC West.
I don't see 3 teams coming out of the NFC South. I just don't. I mean, I could be wrong.
I'm just not sure who the second team in the NFC would be. Right now, obviously, there are 2 4-2 teams in the South. It's just, I'm not sure who the other team in the NFC would be that would step up and take over one of those spots.
Well, I mean, I guess when you look at it that way, I mean, you're kind of right, because I mean, obviously, if the playoffs started today, I would win my division at 4-2. And behind that, I mean, yeah, I guess if the playoffs started today, y'all probably put 3 in there, but I don't expect it to stay that way.
There's still a lot of football left, and obviously, I haven't played barely anybody in my division so far, so I'm not even ready to put the division in the bag. Obviously, I still have to play coach twice.
I put the division, I wrapped it nice and gift wrapped in Atlanta Falcons wrapping paper, tucked it in an Atlanta Falcons bag from the team store, and then dropped it off on your porch. It's yours.
Yeah, where do you think I got the jersey from? Let's touch on some stats real quick, guys. Obviously, this is getting to the point where you're starting to see consistent performances. You're not really seeing. You still have that rare person that's standing way above where they should be. Obviously, Joe Flacco. I'm looking at you here, being 500 yards around the rest of everybody. But let's touch on some stats. What do you think are standing out most for you guys so far?
Man, I'll take a team stat of Green Bay Packers only allowing 24.2 yards a game in rushing. That's a pretty low rushing number.
That is actually a pretty staggering stat. I did not know that.
And the next up is New England at 56, and then Philadelphia at 61. So that 24.2 has got a huge gap between the rest of the league. So if anybody watching has not played Green Bay, game plan for that.
I'm going to say team-wise, if we're going to go team-wise, a stat that speaks to me here a little bit is I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons at 161.9 passing yards per game. I mean, sure, 24.2 yards on the ground sucks, but if you're only allowing 160 yards on average through the air in a passing league, like that's a stat right there. I mean, that's astounding.
You know, interesting stuff here, obviously. The Seahawks and the Rams also two of the top teams against passing and yards per game, but two teams that are having some struggles. Obviously, still new owner in Seattle. I'm not sure if he's actually played a game or not. Not sure there. Offensive numbers, obviously, when it comes to top five for teams, are skewed because there's been a lot of, let's just call it, play calling issues.
Aggressive.
Yeah, there you go. That's
aggressive gameplay. Sorry.
There's aggressive gameplay that have really. It's pretty out there.
Yeah, back on the player side of things, well, I'll pick out a stat that I think is pretty good. You know, he's sitting at number 4, and that's Julio Jones in receiving yards. I think him and A.J. Green both having around the 850 and the 900 mark are two of the top wide receivers in the league that are, being pushed by really good quarterbacks. Ajala, he's just a beast from what I've heard. So
well, I mean, when you're like 6 foot whatever and fast as a world-class sprinter and you're built like a linebacker, I mean, who's going to stop you?
Vernon Davis gets no love, I'm sorry. Not even going to mention his stat line.
Well, I mean, we'll chalk him right there in that aggressive category. Well, stat-wise.
All right, guys. We touched on a lot of stats here. Obviously, it's hard to pick out somebody here and say this is who we think is going to be the MVP at the end of the year because there's still a lot of room to go. But if you guys currently had to pick one guy that you think is head and shoulders the MVP of the league, most valuable player to his team, who would you give it to?
I'm going to pick Drew Brees. He's only 500 yards behind Flacco right now, and I really think Rachi's turning a corner down there, especially with the acquisition of Aguilar. And I really think that it's going to end up being. I mean, it's going to be a quarterback. It's a quarterback every year. But if I had to pick one right now, it's going to be Drew Brees.
Yeah. I'm looking here.
Well, I'll give my pick here. And I hate to do it because I'm actually going to pick a rookie, but I would have to say if the season ended right now based on stats, it would probably be Jameis Winston.
Oh, come on.
I hate to say it, trust me, I hate to say it, but Jameis Winston's only about 50 yards behind Drew Brees, 18 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, about 40 points higher in QBR. The stats are there. I mean, he is head and shoulders above Flacco and Brees when it comes to less turnovers and actually even higher yards per average.
Well, I mean, by that I can argue You could argue a whole lot of people. Tony Romo. I mean, I've only turned the ball over 5 times with him this year.
Yeah, but he's also 300 yards ahead of Romo and another 12 points in terms of QBR. Like, I'm not just strictly looking at the interceptions. I'm combining the yardage and the interception rate.
Yeah, but you and I both know Madden doesn't factor MVP that way.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then honestly the MVP would be Joe Flacco.
Yeah, well, we all know who it's really going to be.
Well, I would have to say,
gameplay.
since Danny took I was actually going to say Jameis Winston. I was looking over the stats, and he took the words out of my mouth.
Get on the Winston bandwagon while you can.
He took the crab right out of your fridge.
I think having Ajala and Evans, Winston's got the better receivers down there to make the plays for him.
He has 4 6'5" targets in Tampa Bay.
I would have to say Winston over Breeze, but obviously the aggressive Flacco.
Another person I'd make a case for that is also technically a rookie as a legacy player. You've got Alexander Broussard down in Denver. We all know how Otto likes to throw the ball deep. He could still easily make a run to get in that top 2 position in terms of yards and win the award.
Well, these are obviously way too damn early picks anyway, so we can argue till we're blue in the face about it, but at the end of the day, week 8, we have no fucking clue.
Oh, I know it would kill Raiders. Jameis Winston wins the MVP award.
It wouldn't kill me. I would just have to make sure I put my crab legs away and shit.
All right, guys, let's take an idea that the other show, which we don't name on this show because we don't do associations.
Hey, that show is Troy's Take, and it is totally legit.
We're going to take an idea they had. Actually, it was Coach's idea that was going to come on Troy's show, and we're going to give our own consensus top 10 here on Roll Call. And we came to a consensus actually before this show. We decided what teams we would rank where. Obviously, there are 3 different ideas. Everyone's not necessarily agreeing with the exact placement of these people.
Except for the top 3. Other than the top 3, this is sort of a guess.
The top 3 at this point is essentially a lock. You could make an argument to order things a little differently, maybe. I'm sure Troy is very confident in himself as the number 1 team right now. But we're going to let these 2 guys, because I don't have my list, we're going to let these 2 guys go down to 10 if you want to start at 10, if you want to start at 1. Even if you want to give explanations on why you feel those teams are in that spots, go ahead and run with it, guys.
Well, I mean, Greatness doesn't have his list because he's too lazy to type it. But let's start at 10 and work our way back, because the top 3 I'm pretty sure everybody already knows. Well, Ibo, you want me to pick a couple, and then you'll reveal a couple, and then we'll talk about our top 3?
Sure, that'll work. Sitting at number 10, we decided to put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who sit at 4-2 on the season.
And depending on who you ask, I argued about that too.
Yeah, let's just say this for the record, guys. Like we came to these consensuses based off of how we felt the strength of schedule was for people. If you haven't beaten anybody that we feel are top tier users, then you might be lower than you want to be. Or if you've struggled against users you shouldn't struggle against, the same thing. These are all opinionated.
Well, and pretty much anything beyond number 3 is really just you can move it anywhere. Like we're calling the Bucs number 10, but you could literally plug and play anybody beyond 3 where they at because there's such a log jam beyond 3.
Yeah, 4 and 10 are basically interchangeable.
Yeah, and sitting at number 9, New England Patriots, who have, in my opinion, fallen back. They lost their first game against the Cowboys, and I think since then have fallen back on my list. Definitely squeezing in the top 10, in my opinion, here. So, but number 9, New England Patriots. Go ahead with number 8 if you want.
Well, and again, these are all interchangeable, and I really feel bad having to list these guys by number. So let's just go ahead and drop the numbers beyond 1 through 3. Another team I think is in the top 10 right now is the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are just good. They've dropped a few games, but I don't think that takes anything away from I mean, just how good they really are.
Yeah, no one can forget how much hype this guy came into the league with. We had countless veteran users of HaW saying Craig was the real deal, and so far he's kind of lived up to it. He's 5-2.
He really has lived up to the hype. It's not often that somebody lives up to their hype, but this was definitely one. And one guy who's going to balk at the idea of being on this list for me here is the Jaguars. Worm can sit there and sell himself short on his team, but I don't care how bad the team is. Worm is such a gifted user, he's going to turn him into gold. So I got the Jaguars up here in this 4 through 10 mishmash. And again, we left a lot of people out, so if you got left out, I mean, I don't want you to feel like you didn't deserve to be in the list, but we can only pick 10, and this is where we're at. So you want to take it from there, Ibo? Move on, and then we'll move.
Yeah, sitting next in our head was the Dallas Cowboys, who have they've come off the sim to win, but they've beaten.
We won the Fokker Bowl, damn it.
They've beaten the Patriots. They beat the Eagles, who were a tough matchup for them on the road. They've won.
Let's not give the Eagles too much credit now. You're gonna start to sound like you're the head coach or something.
No, they've only lost one at home and they've lost one on the road, but they're sweeping their division right now, 3-0, and they're a tough team. They're putting up good points. Their yards are up there. Tony Romo's got a really good stat line, top 10 quarterback. They're going to be a tough team to beat. So,
unless we're playing at home.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that Jerry World is the away team.
Sitting next, falling back, actually, in my opinion, again, the Tennessee Titans coming off their first loss. It's hard to say they had to fall back a lot, but they were definitely a top 4, top 3 team coming into the week. But the beating that they took by the Falcons pushed them back a little bit. The Titans have played a few good users. They're tough, but it's starting to. Mariota caught up with him a little bit, being a rookie, I think, in their last game.
Yeah, Mariota's throws were definitely inconsistent. Some off-target throws. His wide receivers weren't making contested catches at pretty much any point in the game. It was a rough week for the offense. Statistically speaking, it was atrocious. I think it was like 18 for 40 for Mariota.
Yeah,
I can look it up.
No, 16 for 40. I'm sorry.
It's good.
That's an awful lot of passes to be throwing.
With 3 interceptions. It was a really rough week for Mariota, and I think he just got frustrated and just kind of abandoned the run game, and he felt like he had to try to force something deep, or had to force a pass in general, and it just wasn't paying off for him.
All right. Well, next up on our list, and this guy got edged out of the top 3, in my opinion, due to the strength of schedule. And this isn't a knock on this guy at all, but it's the Green Bay Packers sitting at 5-1. They beat the Chiefs, which is why I have them so high, why we all agree they were so high, but beyond the Chiefs, it's a little debatable on who they've played. But we're going to move on from that. We're going to break into our top 3, and these are the only ones we could all agree on should be a lock for their spots. So, at number 3 is my boy. That's Otto and the Broncos, number 3.
Yeah, Otto here, only one loss, and obviously it was a very close loss to the Raiders, where I think he actually had a fourth quarter lead, and then Troy ended up coming back on him.
Yeah, he blew a lead in the 4th.
Obviously, early in the season, he's had wins against the Chiefs and the 5-2 Ravens, Baltimore. An impressive season so far. Losing to Troy, obviously, the other undefeated team in the league, isn't a big knock on you. And I think he's pretty firm in the number 3 spot right now.
Hi, Bo, you want to unveil number 2?
Yeah, number 2 is none other than the other show host and his Oakland Raiders, sitting at 6-0. I think the Falcons just barely have out in our poll, but the big win coming last week against the Titans, I think definitely, in my opinion, pushed them over. And, I've played the Falcons and I've played the Raiders both, Raiders in a preseason tournament. And I think the Falcons would put up a very good fight if they went into the Super Bowl. And I honestly think the Falcons would edge it out. It'd be a good battle. But the run game, the Falcons are shutting down the run, I think, good enough to hold off the Raiders. And I think that's what I just spoiled the fun. So, but I think everyone knew who was number one.
I would like to state for the record, I tried to make the argument that Troy could be the number one team, but my co-host wouldn't.
We're steady NFC repping around here, okay?
My co-host wouldn't let me. I will say that even though Troy doesn't like it being talked about because it was an inconsistency as opposed to all those other games, for those that remember, I did beat Troy in the inaugural pre-Madden tournament. So I think I'm the only person, maybe, to my knowledge, that's beaten Troy. So I will say that, but as of right now, I think me and Troy are the two teams that are standing out to go to the Super Bowl. We're the only two teams left that's undefeated, so it's hard to argue anybody else in the top two spots. And I do personally believe you could switch me and Troy out as 1 and 2. We both have 2 big wins, mine over the Titans and his over the Broncos. So depending on how you value those wins is how you value which team deserves to be number 1. And it's been a long season so far. A lot of football still left to go, and I think these rankings can change a lot before the end of the year.
All right, well, we're going to switch gears a little bit here. We're going to get ready to wind down the show and wrap it up. We're going to start with our Week 8 games of the week. My pick so far, this is, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be the best game of the week, and that's going to be the Packers versus the Broncos. I mean, you're talking about 2 teams, 5-1, both teams, looking for that statement win, that win they can hang their hat on that'll, jump them up everybody's top 10 polls or whatever you want to call it. And it's hard to give the edge either way. I mean, if you just look at straight stats, the Green Bay Packers defense is just something else. But if you also want to go back and hang your hat on it, the Broncos offense is pretty insane. So who do you take, defense or offense? I'm saying the Broncos come out on top. That's my pick. You can go ahead and lock it up.
I think this is an interesting game for 2 different reasons. I think it's 2 different mindsets when it comes to the users. The Broncos have been around as a perennial playoff contender season after season for last cycle and now coming into this cycle, while the Packers owner, Husker, actually struggled some last cycle, if everyone remembers. And I feel like for him, especially with that tough loss to the 49ers early in the year, I feel like he has something to prove. Otto doesn't necessarily have to prove anything. He's already proven what he brings to the table. But I think Husker needs that statement win a little more than Otto does, and I think this will be a very interesting game to watch. I always like picking against Brenton here, and one of us always ends up right that way. So I'm going to give it to the NFC, and I think the Packers are going to give me a run for the money for that number 1 seed. And I'm going to say Green Bay takes it home.
Yeah, I would have to say, man, I think if Green Bay can shut down Denver's pass, I think they're definitely taking this one. So I would have to say Green Bay on this one in a high-scoring game, in my opinion. I think it'll be 34-41.
I'm going to go ahead and go with my game of the week next here, which is a game that, as far as I know, is actually being played right now. I actually don't know if there's a stream. Hold on, let me check. Which is the Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. Obviously, Houston was my preseason prediction to take this division, and I was very wrong about that. I didn't realize how much Tom Savage, or how much the lack of a true quarterback would hurt the Houston Texans. But the Texans are coming off a big win against the Miami Dolphins last week, and the week before only lost by 3 to the Worm Reaver-led Jaguars. So maybe some of that development in Savage is paying off. and he's getting Horton coming off of his first loss of the season. I'm gonna give it to Horton. I think Horton's gonna try to ball out tonight and make up for the game last week. I think the Tennessee Titans will take it, and I think the Houston Texans are gonna continue to struggle.
Well, I would like to pick against you and take RFF and the struggling Texans to knock off Horton and start his tailspin to the bottom of the AFC, but unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the Titans.
Yeah, there's no saving Houston in this one. I think Titans rebound and have learned a little bit of their new playbook, and I think they put it to them tonight.
Also, this is totally irrelevant, but I just read here that Ryan beat Troy in tournament number 2. So.
Who could forget that? Everybody
but Ryan. So, Ryan, we apologize.
So, I'm actually going out on a limb, and I'm going to do a little fun game of the week. Who is going to be the last winless team? Could it be the Redskins who don't play this week? Or are the Lions going to continue to struggle? Or are the Browns going to continue? We're going to have a little competition on the show over the next, however long it takes. It could take till Hard at Work Season 2 for one of these teams to get a win. But who does not get their first win? You know, the Sin Gods could be.
The Lions have to come out of the equation. They don't play, so that's not even a fair pick.
The Lions have a game.
The Redskins don't have a game.
So take the Redskins out of the equation. So we got the Lions and the Browns. Those are your two choices.
Listen, I'm actually a firm believer that one of these teams is actually going to go 0-16.
You know what? I'm a firm believer that all three of these teams are going to go 0-16.
I do not see that. I actually think the Lions will pick up a win. I'm just not exactly sure when.
I think the first team will be the Redskins.
Listen, I've been looking at the schedules, and listen to the next 5 games for the Lions. Chiefs, Packers, Raiders, Eagles, Packers.
There's 5 W's right there.
Jesus Christ.
You know what? Lock up that 5-win streak coming up.
That is just getting dicked down right there. He might want to buy some condoms, or he might end up getting pregnant.
He needs to get some lube is what he needs to do to soften that blow.
You know, they allow 100 yards rushing a game. So, I don't know. Their turnover differential is not that bad, -1.
I mean, in terms of stats, like his offense and defense kind of look middle of the road average.
He's losing close games. I mean, his average point against is only 5 differential. So
2-point loss, 3-point loss, 4-point loss, 2-point loss. That's a lot of close games, but man, that schedule coming up is rough.
Classic Matthew Stafford and his ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
The Lions easily could go real off 0-16 this year.
Yeah, well,
I don't think they'll do that.
The Browns, I think, would be the 0-16 team this year. A -17 average point differential.
That's not really a fair pick either, because I think Aku is going to be on autopilot for the next 3 weeks. So.
That's. Yeah. It does not get any better for him.
And then when you look at the Redskins, they have matchups against the Bears and the Bills coming up still. Obviously, new users, I believe, in both of those, or do we still have the same Bears user?
It's all new users.
It's a different user because the Bears user was Jeremy, and he went to the Seahawks.
Correct.
I think I could figure out who the Bears user is real quick.
Yeah, I think both of those are new users, so the records obviously could be deceptive. Obviously, the Redskins user is new as well, so who's to say he doesn't come in here and pick up a win straight away?
Correct. Yeah, the Redskins user.
Player 2138 is the Bears.
You know, if I had to go out on a limb this week, the Lions have the best chance, in my opinion, of winning a game. You know, the Redskins aren't going to win one, obviously.
I think the Redskins have the best chance of winning a game this week.
You know, it's funny because we're actually all going to pick different Oh, to win a game this week? Okay, because I was going to say the team most likely to go 0-16 is the Browns. And that's a combination of him possibly going on AP and just he hasn't shown me anything in terms of gameplay that suggests he can get wins over the Bengals, the Steelers.
He played the Raiders really close.
Yeah, apparently that was really close, but he came out the next week and did not show for it. I just don't see it. And those three teams have a rough road ahead of them.
Yeah, the Lions have to get a win this week if they want to have a good shot of trying to get one over the next 5 games.
You know, and I know nobody picked this game, but I want to add one more game of the week. And I normally don't like talking about my own game, but I am going to try to stream it. And for anyone that hasn't ever seen me and Coach play before, all the games end up being great. And some of that is being sarcastic because I always have like the worst special teams luck in the world when I play him for some reason. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons play this week, and in my opinion, this is the biggest chance for me to lose in the next few weeks. So
looks like those watching, there's going to be a Jets Raiders stream up right now in the chat box.
So, I think we've touched on everything. It's been a good show. I have to be up in about 4 hours to go to work, so if you want to take us home.
Yeah, we will be back Monday looking into Week 8 and then looking into Week 9. So, Danny, I think you said you're on the road, so maybe...
Yeah, I will probably be MIA from the show for the conceivable future. I'm gonna try to bring my laptop actually with me, and if nothing else, I will try to do it from my laptop. But we'll see how that goes.
I mean, we're all absolutely heartbroken that you won't be around.
Oh, don't worry. I have a contingency plan to get my games played still, so we'll see how that goes.
Uh-oh.
But I'm not gonna let this undefeated season die without a fight.
It's gonna die.
I'm going for the 19-0.
It's not going to happen.
That includes beating the Cowboys again in the playoffs.
It's not going to happen.
Beating Coach 3 times in one season.
It's not going to happen either.
And then topping it all off with destroying another season of Troy having his hopes up to get a Super Bowl by beating him in the Super Bowl.
That's not happening.
I'm laying out the list. See, the list was...
You're talking about a list of impossible things.
Let's be honest here. How many people would have guessed that I would have started the season 7-0?
Plenty with your cupcake schedule.
I thought you were going to go with 1, to be honest.
I mean, sure, I have a cupcake schedule that just happens to include both of you fools on it. All right, everybody. It was fun. We had a good experience. These two at least will be back sometime next week. I think you said you're going to try for Monday.
Yeah, we're going to shoot for Monday.
And if you don't see my pretty face with my Vic Beasley jersey on then, I'll see you in the future.
I'm being covered in shit and being happy about it.
Well, guys, till Monday, enjoy the weekend. I know I will. The Eagles are on the bye, so...
I'm going to go watch the Texans get shit whipped.
Yep, and we will see y'all Monday.